Good evening, Ray Halbrook here with Main Street Sports. How's everyone doing today? We have a special segment tonight for Main Street Sports. It's our tribute to our Seniors 2020, and we have a slew of guests again. I'll pop them up here real quick. We have Coach Robert Coonley, Coach Kevin Lucas, Coach Jeff Young, and Coach Zach Bone, all on the line here, and Jeff Whitener as well. Jeff, we're going to have a good night tonight, and I believe that this is very, very needed to help honor our seniors who missed out on the spring sports for baseball. We're doing baseball right now. We might do some more a little bit later, depending on how much time we have throughout the rest of this spring. So, Jeff, can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you, Ray. Good evening, everyone. Boy, I never thought I would sit here and just talk about how much I miss not only the game itself, but just the interaction with the coaches, the officials, the players. All of those little things are what I'm really, really missing. You know, I don't care who's playing who, I don't care what the score is, but it's all those little relationships that I'm missing most right now, Ray. Let me back things up a little, set this up, guys. When I kept thinking about the fact that we didn't have baseball this spring and the parks were silent, I thought back, and I'm old enough to remember a book that came out in 1962 by Rachel Carson, and the title was Silent Spring. And that book was an ecological book. It was about the use of pesticides in the world at the time and how that was creating an environment where it may lead to a silent spring where everything is full of birth and renewal, but we wouldn't hear it because nothing would be happening. The birds wouldn't be chirping. The animals wouldn't be making sounds. And I kept coming back to that because 48 years later, we found ourselves in the middle of our own silent spring, so to speak. But in this case, we're not hearing that crack of the bat. We're not hearing the pound of the ball into the glove. We're not hearing cheering fans. The sacrifice for safety has been difficult, obviously, for everyone who loves the sport, but especially heartbreaking for our high school seniors who had their final season taken away. And that's why it's so important for me that we gather here tonight to honor these kids and remember their contributions to your programs. I mean, it's impossible. I can't even imagine what it's like for you coaches. I know just for me personally, and a little bit I'm around teams, you're around kids for 4 years, it's impossible not to get emotionally invested in those kids. And I know for as far as where I feel from where I sit in my jobs, it's got to be 10 times harder for you guys. So we really appreciate you coming on the show tonight. Before we get to the seniors, we just have a few questions we want to ask the coaches. And I'm going to start off with Coach Lucas, and we'll kind of go around the room if we would, please. Coach, how did you approach your athletes, especially your seniors, when you finally got confirmation that we would not be playing spring sports this year, especially baseball? Did you talk to them individually or did you talk to them as a group?
I sent out a remind. That was kind of the way we were communicating and stuff. Just kind of a text message type deal, and that's the way I've been communicating with them all along from the time we were shut down until now still, and it was one of those, I was still in shock really, I guess, and just sent out a remind. And then, and then I kind of tried to let all of them know that if there was anything they needed somebody to talk to, then that me and our, my assistants, we were all there for them, because I mean, this is a hard time. That's what hurts the most, I think, is just, not being able to see these kids every day. Some of them, they probably really need someone to talk to. They're probably right now the head of the household. And so I think that's what's been the hardest right now is just, not seeing them. But yeah, I mean, it was just really a remind text message type deal that I sent out, and, and then got a lot of responses, and it was tough. It was a tough day.
I can imagine that. How did things go for you, Coach Young, when you had to share the news?
Well, we actually went to school on that Monday and Tuesday, and so kind of had a little bit more prep. So on that Monday, we brought all the kids in and talked to them as a group. And, you know, it was real difficult because, again, at that time, things weren't exactly canceled. You know, everything still was very fluid at the time. And so we just tried to explain it the best it is at that point in time. You know, try to get out and practice, play catch, do some things, communicate. We communicate through Twitter and email. And so we kept them up to date with that. You know, but then when it was finally called off for good, you know, again, it's just kind of a Twitter and email thing that we talked to them. And of course, if they needed something, just let us know.
Sure. Coach Bone, I would imagine that was a pretty tough talk for you as well.
Yeah. And, you know, there's so much of kind of what Jeff and Kevin mentioned. It was up in the air. You know, there was so much uncertainty with the whole thing. You know, and not to, you know, the fault measure or really anybody, but, you know, it's tugging on your emotions a little bit. You know, you go from, well, we're going to try to have spring sports. You know, as long as school's in session, sports will be played. And then, you know, a week later, it turns out that, you know, things are suspended through, you know, April 21st or April 27th and this and that. I think, you know, everybody's holding out hope, that, you know, was holding out hope at some point that, you know, that there would be some sort of break in and we could get back to some sense of normalcy. But, you know, it's been such a roller coaster, I think, you know, not just from an athletic perspective, but, you know, kind of like Kevin mentioned, you know, just the social outlets, the stability that school and sports have to offer for kids, being taken away is tough right now. And it's tough for everybody. I think, you know, as much as, we think, you know, we're working from home or kids are going to school from home. In reality, it's more like people are home during a crisis trying to work or trying to go to school. So, you know, it's obviously really unfortunate for a lot of reasons, but, you know, I think baseball guys by nature are creatures of habit, and, you know, just having those routines, that stability, you know, having that opportunity taken away has been tough for a lot of people. So, you know, just the roller coaster aspect of it has been challenging, and not really knowing what's going on. I think once we finally got the news, communicating it, you know, was, one of the harder things. You know, obviously probably made harder by the fact that you know, you really never got a chance to get in front of your guys face to face and just tell them exactly what the situation was. So a lot of outlets and technology these days to communicate. And, you know, we sent a letter, you know, coaching staff to the kids, letting them know, I should say, how much we appreciate them. But, you know, that doesn't quite add up to, you know, when you see your seniors for the last time in the typical year, being able to look them in the eye and thank them for what they've done for the program. So unusual times we're living in, no doubt. And, you know, it's been a rough few weeks and months for a lot of people for a lot of reasons, but, you know, on the baseball side, it's no exception.
That's right. Coach Coonley, I'm interested to know, as you spoke or communicated to your players, and knowing just you a little bit about your personality, has there been anything to offer at this point in terms of wisdom, in terms of the fact that this is a kind of a hard life lesson that is being learned by these young adults right now as they head off into the world?
Well, you know, when this whole thing first kind of came down the pipeline that we were going to be shut down for 2.5 weeks and we weren't going to get to have baseball, you know, I tried to email my guys once every 2 days and just let them know, hey, you can have this time right now. You can sulk, you can get upset about things. That's fine, but don't let it defeat you. You know, get out, take some ground balls with your dad. You know, get some dry hacks. You know, if you go up to the high school, use the cages. Go up to high school, use the cages. Just find a way to continue to get better and continue to further your baseball career. And, you know, for the most part, the guys have really responded. And they, you know, I go up to the field and drag it once every 2 days. And, you know, there's always a kid by himself hitting off a tee. You know, it's a hard sight to see. It's really hard to see him, you know, 20 feet away and you can't say hi to him, or, you know, you can't have a conversation. But when the whole thing was actually shut down, I called all the seniors individually, explained to them, they went to war for me. I'll go to war for you. If you need a letter of recommendation, if you need just a reference, if you need help moving 20 years from now, you let me know. I'll be there. You know, and then I sent the email out to the entire team and kind of let them know what was going on.
Yeah, difficult time and uncharted waters for everyone, for sure. Ray, do you want to handle question number 2?
I can hear, yes. Let's do it here this way. Tuesday, this past Tuesday, Governor Parsons stated that the state of Missouri would once again be open for business starting May 4th. Do you think this news will alter any MSHSAA schedules for the summer or fall, including practices, dead weeks, etc.? And we'll start with Coach Kevin Lucas. I think I got him muted. I think you might be muted, Kevin. Let's double check and make sure he's not muted there. The power of technology. Kevin, are you there? Ooh, I think I hear
you hear me?
Yeah, there you are.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think they've already started kind of with the stuff that they sent out this week with the dead weeks, kind of, more or less saying that you can observe the dead weeks for throughout the summer, and stuff like that. Now, as far as the practice type stuff and everything, it's hard to say what they'll do. I still think that, you got to safeties first. And I mean, I think schools are going to be one, I don't know I know we just cleaned out all of our stuff the other day, had to go out and clean everything out and get it ready for the summertime, type stuff. And so, I mean, everything's been put away. And so, I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of it's going to depend on what schools will even allow too. But right now I'm just kind of, waiting to hear from, the powers that be, from my administration and everything, which I guess they'll get first word from the state, and then we'll go from there.
Coach Young, your thoughts?
Pretty much on the same thing. I mean, is it going to change? Yeah. Is it really going to change? No. I think it's still real fluid right now, where we already had our kids turn their stuff in and things, and I hear some schools might want to try to play or some things during the middle of the summer, and how's that going to affect with summer baseball? And eligibility apparently is going to change, and so I just look at it from this standpoint of, because everything is very fluid, I'll just let the administration tell me what it is that we're going to do, and then we'll go from there. If they give us a go ahead to do something, then we will. But just because the governor said that doesn't necessarily mean Jefferson County is going to be opened up back again, or if there's any teams to play, or what's going to happen. So I'm just going to take a wait and see approach and let the administration handle that.
Coach Coonley.
I'm kind of in the same boat. Everything's just kind of up in the air. No one really knows exactly what's going to happen. I want what's best for the kids. If they say, hey, you can start playing games in the summer and there's 3 teams around, we got great baseball teams around here in the summertime that are going to give great instruction to my guys. I'll go watch them play. I'll do whatever I can. If they say we can play, 5-10 games, I just don't know how that affects summer baseball. And I just want my guys to have the best chance to get better and to have a regular season, if that makes sense. Not that I don't want to see the Blue Jays take the field in 2020, but, and we'll probably do something small if the administration deems that okay. But we also don't want to affect summer baseball either. We want to make sure that these guys have a regular team they're playing with, a regular season that they can play with the entire season. You know what I mean? So it's kind of up in the air and no one really knows. And, all I'm really doing is speculating.
Right. I agree. Coach Bone, final thoughts there?
I think these guys hit on basically all of it. Those decisions are made, well above my pay grade, obviously. So, I think that, MSHSAA has had, seems like a press release per week about what the future holds and things of that nature. And, I think there's so much uncertainty right now, what's going to happen. Are things truly going to quote unquote open up on May 4th? If so, what does that look like for public health, 14 to 21 days after that? What does it look like for people being on campus? I think that's a concern with anything, high school or summer baseball. A lot of summer teams, for instance, will use high school facilities. If no one's allowed on campus, that's going to cut into, a little bit of the ability for summer teams to use those also. There's so much that's up in the air right now. You would like to think that those decisions would be made at a governmental level and passed on down. Anybody who gets on Twitter, watches the news, knows that's probably not going to happen. So there's just so many things that are being, pushed off from one person to the next. So I don't know how much of it will ultimately fall to us as coaches to make decisions on that. I assume school administration has done a wonderful job of stepping up to the plate and letting us know exactly what's going on. So I imagine in this instance, they'll do the same thing. Obviously, I would love to get our guys back on the field again. It is about the journey. So not necessarily having the postseason, is not a deal breaker in terms of doing something for the summer. But I think these guys brought up a lot of good points. I think, you're going to try to look for teams to play if you wanted to do something summer wise. That's assuming that, the stay at home orders are lifted, that people are allowed to congregate, that the cities and school districts allow people on campus, that your administration okays the use of facilities and people getting together. There's just so many question marks at this point that we have no answers to. I'm not sure if we'll have more answers in a week or a month. But I know there's a lot up in the air right now. And I think until those are answered, I don't know that I can really speculate on it. But these guys hit on a lot of it. And, I think it's, the uncertainty is probably the hardest thing right now.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you trying to answer those questions the best way possible. I know that they were cause for a lot of speculation, and we don't want to put you on the spot. We're all up in the air, and I think we're all just coaches, media, everybody, players. We're all just looking for that little morsel of positivity right now to kind of hang our hat on and keep going and have faith that something good's going to happen here in the near future. We really appreciate it. But without further ado, Ray, why don't we go ahead and start getting into why we were really here today? Our biggest purpose to honor these senior athletes. And
I agree,
Coach Lucas. I don't know if are you ready to go with some of your guys and talk about them a little bit?
Yeah, yep, I'm ready. Whatever you guys are.
All right. Well, we're gonna get you going here, and we will start loading up here some of the names that we've been given here. And let me get myself set up here correctly before we get started here. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. The Hillsboro Hawks baseball. And Coach Lucas, we're going to start with Mark Moore.
Oh, Mark Moore. I mean, that kid, he's a four-sport athlete, and he excels at four sports. And he's in the fall, he's got soccer. He's one of the top goal scorers for soccer. Football, he gets out and kicks, and then basketball season, he's, running the point guard, one of the better players around the county for basketball. Baseball-wise, this was going to be his third year starting for me. The last two, he was going to, last year he was a center fielder hitting leadoff, and this year it was going to do the same thing. Kind of our spark plug, and the kid can just go get the ball. I mean, he's fast, and so and he's a smart kid. That's kind of the one thing with him is the kid. He's signed to go to Webster to play basketball and soccer. He's got I don't remember 32 or something on the ACT. Just such a smart kid, such a great kid that he's going to go on and do some great things. In this world, I want to say he wants to do something maybe in the medical field. So that's a good, especially with the way things are going right now. Hopefully, he's someone that'll be able to, save some lives down the road.
Awesome. Our next senior here is Grant Beck.
Grant's a kid that last year he played 3 or 4 different positions for us. I needed a third baseman. He said, I can do it. He jumped out at third base. He's normally a shortstop, second baseman. Whenever I had, my shortstop pitching, he had to play some shortstop. He also played some second base. And then he also pitched some for us. He was a kid that hit down in the order. He kind of got turned the lineup over to the top, to the Mark Moore and, Michael Brewer, Christian Hancock type of guys. So he was a kid that, he did so much for us, but, he probably didn't get the praise that he should have because he was playing a different position so often and, hitting down in the order type of deal. But, he's a kid that he's looking to go play somewhere. I know he's had a couple of junior colleges talk to him, a couple of other four-year schools. When I talked to him earlier today, he hadn't really quite decided. I know he was looking forward to having a big summer with 253, which I'm sure that would have helped him, find somewhere to play. And so hopefully that'll still happen. And by then, hopefully he'll have somewhere that he is, going to be able to call home for next year or for the next few years. But yeah, he's a kid that, he did everything that I could have ever asked. Has some great hands, and he's a kid that he's going to be tough. He was going to be our shortstop this year. And so, one of those things that just didn't get to happen for us. But yeah, he's going to be missed for sure.
Our next senior here is Garrett Pinkley.
Garrett, he obviously when you hear the Pinkley name, you think basketball. That's what I always thought. Leading up to last year, Garrett came in and he won the second base. Our second base spot for us. Played pretty much every game at second base. He just went out and battled. I mean, he's a kid that he will do whatever. Works his tail off. He probably doesn't touch a bat and ball and stuff too often. But then I know this year he was really looking forward to it. He had a great season for us last year. Started talking to me about wanting to go play college baseball. And so I reached out to a few people, and I know he had a couple of schools talking to him. I think from when I talked to him today, it's still a possibility. He wants to go play college baseball, and I think he can do it. He's really raw. He learns quite a bit just in the last couple of years. This was going to be a pretty good year for him. He was looking really good in the cages, looking good. We actually got out on the field with the nice weather that we were having early on. And I was looking forward to him being our team leader. I mean, he was really leading. The kids were really listening to him. And he was, everything was just, he was a lot stronger this year. And it was, I was really excited just to see what he could do this year and then see if there were some more opportunities open up. And so he's one that I'm definitely going to miss him. I mean, he's a kid that he makes you laugh. I mean, he comes in and you could be as mad as can be and he'll crack a joke and next thing you know, you can't be mad type of deal. And so, he's going to be one he's definitely going to be a tough one to replace for us in the next year.
Awesome. Our next senior is Dayton Holter.
Dayton is a kid that when he was a freshman, I think he was telling us he was gonna be a varsity star. I think he was probably saying it at that time that he was gonna be a varsity star his freshman year. And so we butted heads a little bit, back and forth. But the kid last year he came in and he ended up being we had a third baseman already. He was a third baseman. He wanted to go to the outfield, tried the outfield. He pitched for us, did a great job pitching, ended up becoming our DH. I needed some hitters, and the kid won the DH spot and hit, the last half of the season. He was our DH. And in the district championship game, he ended up, I brought him in midway through because I was running out of pitches. It was our third game in 3 days, and I had some screw-ups and used some pitchers I shouldn't have. And so they were over their limit, and I threw Dayton out there hoping he could do something, and he did. He closed out the game for us. I think he drove in a go-ahead run. And he, did so much for us, and he was excited to come in this year and kind of build off of that from last year. I think that was kind of the way for all 8 of our seniors. They're ready to build off of last year. He's working hard. Dayton has been working hard on the mound in the off season, got a lot stronger. And he's a kid too. He's hoping to go play some college baseball. I know he's talked to, I think Missouri Valley's talked to him, McPherson talked to him. And when last I talked to him today, he was still kind of up in the air on those 2 schools. I think maybe there were a couple other ones that he was kind of talking with. So hopefully he'll get a chance to go on, and play some college baseball somewhere. But he's a kid that, he can do a lot. He was fast. He could hit. He could run for us. And we put him out on the mound, and he was kind of that bulldog type of kid.
Absolutely. Our next senior here is Isaac Hamilton. Heard that name a couple times.
Yeah, Isaac. Isaac this was going to be his third year as our starting catcher. Isaac's sophomore year, we were kind of slim at catching, and I needed somebody. I mean, we had Michael Brewer, Christian Hancock, among some others. Tyler Isaacson, some pretty good throwers, and so I needed somebody that could catch them. And it wasn't an easy job. So I brought Isaac up as a sophomore and kind of just threw him in the fire. And I even told him, I don't care what you do hitting wise, I just need you catching. He has a great arm, and he did a heck of a job as a sophomore with our pitching staff. And then last year, he controlled. I mean, I think he caught pretty much every inning except for maybe 2 games. I guess he didn't catch. I gave him a break. He's trying to go to SWIC, and so that's a good spot for him. Junior college route. I think he'll be able to go there and grow. This year he hit the weight room. I kind of had to talk with him, and he was getting a lot stronger. I mean, you could really tell the difference. He's putting on some weight. His arm strength was getting even better. And I was going to need to use him some as a pitcher too, which I know that's not ideal with him catching so much. Throwing him behind, throwing him out on the mound. But with our pitching, I was going to need him to, get a few innings out of him. But he's a kid that, he didn't, the 2 games that I didn't catch him last year, he wasn't very happy with me. But after talking with him, he understood, he wants to be out there every pitch, every inning. He just wants to get every out that he can. I think he'll be able to go on and have some success at the next level. I think once he puts on some weight, kind of gets his hitting going a little better, I think he'll have some pretty good success.
And Jay, just to jump in real quick for folks who may not know, watching, just when you mentioned SWIC, that's Southwestern Illinois College, JUCO college.
Yeah.
So, which I think a couple other guys on this list might be going to as well.
There you go. We're going to move on to our next senior here, Brendan McLaughlin.
Brendan is he's just a relief pitcher for us. He's the type of kid that you could probably throw him every day. He just comes in and one time through a lineup, and everything he throws spins. He tries to throw the ball straight, but for some reason with what he does, it just spins. Fastball spins, and so he laughs at it whenever I tell him that, and he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about, Coach." But he's a kid that he just keeps teams off balance, and that was my plan this year was to have him come in, throw pretty much every game for us, just come in, throw an inning or so as much as he could. And he's a quiet kid. Never halftime you'd forget he was there because he just would sit back and never say anything. Just go on with his business until you told him to start getting ready or get to the plate or whatever. So that's a kid that I was excited to see what he could do because he'd had some good bullpen sessions this off season. And so he was going to be a key for us, I think, to be able to come in after our starter and just kind of mix it up, have a little change of pace for us. But he's just a great kid, just ready to go to college, and just have the rest of his life to. I think he wants to go to Jeffco just to go to school, and I think he said he wants to try to find a job making a lot of money. So. And I have no doubt that that's something that he'll be able to do.
Perfect. Our next senior here is Nolan Evans.
Nolan is he's a kid that he kind of would do everything that I asked of him. He was in a tough position. He plays in first base. Last year we had Logan Warren started first base for us most of the time. When Logan wasn't there, we had Michael Brewer. So. It was a tough time for him to get any innings at first base. I got him some at-bats. I got him as many at-bats as I could. This year, he was going to be a kid that was going to get some more innings. When Logan was pitching, I was going to need somebody to play some first base. And then I was also going to, probably DH Nolan some. But, yeah, I mean, he was a kid that this was going to be a year that he was actually going to get a little more time, and so and I think he was really excited about that. He was trying to do everything he could to get better, asking questions, putting in the extra work, Even this off season, last 2 off seasons, he was coming in and catching bullpens for us. He's not a kid that, not even a catcher at all, but he was just doing whatever he could to just get some extra time and try to get better, just work on things. So that's a tough one for him, because this was that year that he was actually going to get those innings and get those at bats.
Great. Sounds great. Our final and last Hillsboro Hawk here, senior here, Logan Warren. Heard that name a couple times too.
Yeah. Logan. To me, Logan seems like he's been out in Hillsboro. Seems like he's been in the program for 6 or 7 years, because he had an older brother that came through the program. So Logan was around, quite a bit then, coming to our camps in the summers and stuff. And so Logan's one, and his family are going to be, some that are going to be really missed for us, because they've been around for so long, been in the program for so long. Logan he's a left-hander, hit second for us. Doesn't have a whole lot of team speed. Doesn't have a lot of speed for us, but he was one of those kids that can control the bat really well, lay down some bunts, big times for us. Has great hands, picks it really well at first base. But I think his true calling is as a pitcher, left-handed pitcher. He's, he's kind of lanky, kind of got that, little 3/4, arm action type stuff. Just a lot of movement, a lot of moving parts when he's out on the mound. And so he's a kid that I was excited to see. He was going to be our number 1 pitcher, and so he was going to get a lot of innings for us. And he'd been working hard and throwing a lot of bullpen sessions. Everything was looking really, really good for him. And so he is actually another one that is signed to go to SWIC, going to Southwest Illinois Community College. So that'll be good. Those are 2 good ones for them, getting our catcher and our top pitcher. So Logan's, he was gonna have a pretty good year, I would say. And, he was another one that in the weight room, he was working hard, put on a lot of weight, just got stronger. He came in this fall wanting to know what he needed to do to, go play at the next level. First thing I told him was he needs to get stronger. And so I had him for a strength and conditioning class, 7th hour, and then I had him as a teacher's aide, 6th hour. And I didn't see him a whole lot during the teacher's aide because he was in the weight room, and so more or less he was getting the last 2 hours a day. He was in the weight room, just trying to get as strong as he could, doing everything possible to get stronger. And so I hope that all pays off for him, and I hope he's able to go on to to college and have some success. So that's my last senior. So those are my 8 that this year they knew what needed to be done. They got a taste of a district championship for us last year. First one is the Class 5 school for us. So they knew exactly what I was expecting, and what needed to be done to defend that championship, and just one of those things didn't get to happen for us. So the way I look at it is we're a district champion again, conference champion, state champion. The way I look at it is, we're all of them again this year.
I know we were having some issues there. With your internet again there. So we're going to go ahead and move. And we thank you so much, Coach Lucas, for those great words for these seniors here. And I know that they appreciate it. We've already had parents on the line talking about saying thanks, Coach. Good commentary. Appreciate all of the love to all the Hawks seniors, and so we appreciate that. And I'm going to turn this next segment over to Jeff Whitener for the Jefferson Blue Jays with Robert Coonley.
Well, it is my honor to go through this with Coach Coonley. Obviously, I'm most familiar with the Jefferson Blue Jay program and this group of seniors. First up for Coach Coonley. Coach, if you could talk about my basketball score table buddy, Carson Heine.
Man, Carson was the guy. In baseball, you need a dugout guy. someone to lift the mood. When practice is getting rough, he does something kind of quirky and you start laughing. I remember, I think it was last year or maybe the year before, we were running drills and he was running the bases because he was one of our courtesy runners at the time. And, he came into home plate, and instead of going to the dugout where everybody was, he went into the other dugout and would start fake high-fiving people. And it just made everybody kind of loosen up, and it was hilarious, He was always really good for that. He's also, I'm a 35-year-old man, but I still like video games. Judge me all you want. He was a guy that I would ask. I would ask him, like, hey, what game are you playing? Because he was he was a big gamer. He loved to play video games. And he was also very literal. I love the fact that, like, if a guy was running like 3 minutes late to practice, he would be like, hey, tell your girlfriend to go back. You know what I mean? And he would just call him out, not even think twice about it. It was hilarious. I couldn't even get mad at the kid because I was laughing so hard at Carson. And he was going to be a big part of our relief staff this year. He was going to be the guy that we call in to eat up some innings, to help us out, to, take care of a big situation. He had ice in his veins. He'd get on the mound and he would just throw strikes with a little downward movement, and he'd get ground ball after ground ball after ground ball. And, it's going to be really hard to fill his shoes. We're going to miss him a lot. He's an awesome kid. He's going to do great things.
Well, our next athlete up, and I believe, I can't remember if he played right field. Was it Shannon Dowd? Did he play right field?
So Shannon last year was our DH in 2019. Right. He was our DH. He got the unfortunate deal of sitting behind a senior, and it was a guy right in front of him. He was going to catch a lot for us this year. He was going to be our guy behind the plate for the most part. What's great about Shannon, he's my baseball card buddy. He got me back into collecting baseball cards, and this is why you see what you see back here and why my wife gets mad at me every once in a while. I asked him, about baseball cards. He tells me about shows that, are coming to St. Louis that I could go to. So he was awesome with that. But his junior year, he really flipped the switch with his swing. He really started hitting the ball real well. We couldn't keep him out of the lineup. We just didn't have a spot in the field because, we had, I think it was 11 seniors last year or maybe even 13. So, we were refilling 7 or 8 starting spots this year. So he was going to do a lot of catching for us, but he really flipped the switch. He started staying after practice for about an hour hitting every day. Every morning before school, you'd see him in the cages. After school, you'd see him in the cages, just working on his swing. And he really turned himself to a heck of a hitter. He's going to Fontbonne next year to play, and I think he's going to do great things there. I really do.
Well, next up, we have another young man who will be going on to the college level to play. That's your big first baseman, Braden Harmon.
Yeah, Braden, man, I'm going to miss him a lot, like I am everybody. But, Braden is still really one of the few that is, and I mean, there are obviously a lot of kids out there who do this, but he's just a yes, sir, no, sir kind of guy. You tell him something and it's just done. He just does it. He's been in our lineup since his freshman year. He's a senior. I'm old. There's just not, he's just such a good kid, such a courteous kid. Really got it done in the classroom, really got it done at the plate for us, played first base for us, and probably had one of the most live arms we've ever seen at Jefferson, touching 91 every once in a while. So, we're really going to miss him. He's going to go to McKendree. I think he's going to do great things there. And I really think the future is bright for that young man.
Another young man, as Ray mentioned before, that we know very well, and I know very well personally, and that is Levi Eversole.
Levi, for all of his accolades, for everything that he has earned in his career in high school, you wouldn't know it by talking to him. He is just a very even-keeled kid. No situation was ever too big for him. And every time I call him to let him know he made all district, or I let him know that he made all conference, or I let him know that Just today he received an award, which I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say, so I can't. But he just we got an email notification today that he just received an honor from a certain organization, and he just goes, "Oh, cool." That's his response. He's just like, "Oh, okay, thanks, coach," and then that's it. He's broken basically every pitching record that we have at Jefferson. And he would have broke a lot of the hitting records as well if he would have had a season. I mean, he was only 1 or 2 hits off from all-time hit record. The average was there. So I got to tell you, it's just amazing how even keel a kid could be, especially in a community of all district, all conference, all these accolades. He just wants to go out and pitch, do his thing, and make sure that he gives his team the best chance to win. He's going to William Jewell next year, and I can't wait to watch that kid play in college. I really can't. I think he's going to translate very well.
I would agree with that. Coach, the next guy on our list might be a surprise to some, not to me and not to you, but that is John White. Yeah,
John's a born leader. He's a guy that if stuff's going wrong or stuff's not right in practice, he shuts it down real quick to where the coaching staff doesn't even know something was going on. We really look forward for him to help out some of the freshmen this year and understanding, how to go to practice, understanding and learning from him on how to be a leader. He was going to be a great pitcher for us this year. We were pretty excited about him, with his 6'5", 6'6" frame, his immense downward angle. And he was throwing a ball hard too. We didn't get a gun on him, but he was bringing it pretty good. And he didn't get to play his junior year. He decided to play basketball. He was trying to go the college basketball route and decided, that's just not for me. I'm going to come out to baseball. And we were just so happy to have him back. It was really impressive what that young man could do and helping others stay focused, stay oriented on what they needed to do. And I think he had a pretty good basketball career at Jefferson.
Yeah, I think he's going to be okay. Yeah. Our next Blue Jay athlete to celebrate, our senior, is Jacob Fraley.
So Jacob was my he kept things light in the dugout. He was really fun to be around at all times. He really pushed others at practice. He busted his tail. Like a lot of these seniors, they had a senior class in front of them of 13, and they were just all, they're very talented. So it was tough. He was going to get some more. Jacob was going to get some more at bats this year. And he really pushed himself to be the best he could be, and he pushed his teammates to be the best he can be. And you need those guys on good squads. You have to have those guys that are going to push other people to reach new limits, or else their job's going to get taken. Like I said, he's going to get some more at bats this year. And he was also the guy at practice where if I said, "Hey, I need someone to clean out the shed," there was some ice in there, da-da-da. He was the first one to raise his hand. He was over there before I got done with my sentence. He's just an absolute character kid, and we're going to be really sad to see him go.
Well, as you say, stated there, just to paraphrase, every role on the team is important, and he certainly filled one, as did our next senior athlete, probably the best hair on the team, the best hairstyle.
Man.
And that would be senior Evan Handrahan.
Yeah, Evan. Evan was my softball manager for the last 2 years I've been coaching. He was also a guy who liked to keep things light in the dugout. He was the only high school player I've ever had that showed up listening to Pink Floyd. He was a big fan of the 70s, 80s. And he did have the best hair on the team. There was no doubt about that. The flowing locks were just incredible. He was going to get a lot more at-bats this year, but we're in this situation. He was an absolute team guy, and I think he's going to Missouri S&T. I think he's going to be just an all-star in the adult world. I think he's going to do amazing things, and I'm sure that the future is very bright for that young man.
I would agree with you on that point. Well, Ray, there you have it. Those are the senior Jefferson Blue Jay baseball athletes. And we certainly appreciate Coach Coonley breaking those guys down for us and kind of giving them the best send-off we can under the circumstances. Ray, what do you want to go to next?
Let's go ahead and go to a break real quick, and we will be right back, and we'll have our second half of our seniors night in just a minute. We'll be right back.
What you guys do for Jefferson County sports, it doesn't go unnoticed by the coaches in all sports.
Yeah,
all
I appreciate
sports.
That.
You know, I have a lot of friends that are head, basketball coaches, and I've been, of course, around Jefferson County all my life and followed all kinds of sports even before I got into the coaching. So what you guys do to help promote it with the kids is unbelievable, and we appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
For you guys to take your time and what you do is awesome. Just awesome.
Yeah, well, we try, we work hard, and we think they deserve it. The kids deserve to be able to be seen, and if we can turn out kids in the community to better them, get them in college, and make them a better citizen, that's the key.
Ray, and I'll say real quick, I really admire what you guys do with this. I think everybody who's ever tuned into one of these, whether it's a Legion game, whether it's a high school baseball game, with basketball, football, whatever it is, I've heard nothing but tremendous feedback about Livestream STL and what you guys do and the quality of production, things like that. I would really encourage anybody who's involved in athletics throughout the county, or really anywhere in the metro area, anybody who's interested in sponsoring activities to get on board and get involved with this. I think it's added a ton to what we do here. It's added a ton to the program. You guys are a class act. You're committed to doing things the right way, and we really appreciate that.
And we are back here. Thanks so much for watching Main Street Sports. We appreciate all of our coaches being on here and all the folks that we're able to honor, even though they will not be able to play this spring due to the COVID-19 issues. And we just want to bring a little highlight to those guys. And while we do, before we get started in our second half here, real quick, I want to let you know about one of our sponsors here, Bethesda Baptist Church, the building where Bethesda Baptist Church meets at 910 Craig Drive in Imperial, but the church is people who continue to meet the needs and minister during this time. Bethesda is honored to sponsor tonight's show. For more information, give them a call, 314-803-3782. And also, don't forget, we have some brand new. If you haven't been with us in a little while here, we're on a bunch of different new outlets here: Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, Twitch. We're always on the Twitter, also Instagram, and our brand new Roku channel we'll tell you about right now. If you're interested in our Roku channel, $4.99 a month, less than $5 a month. How about that? Over on Roku, check this out. This website out here, videos.tkdssports.com, and you can actually get live stream STL on the Roku channel. And I'll tell you what, it's really worth the money because it is a heck of a lot clearer than being on the internet. So I will just say that. I'll put that out there for free.
The picture is wonderful, right?
Yeah, I agree. So we're going to jump right back into this here and go with our next half here of our senior night. And Jeff Whitener, go ahead and take it away, my friend.
Well, I am very pleased to present Coach Jeff Young of the Windsor Owls here as he goes through his senior list. And, of course, starting off a name that we know from basketball season, Ray, that is Mr. Pierce Hartman, Coach.
Yeah, Pierce is basically one of our best athletes, and if you followed basketball this year, you could see that because he really helped our basketball team turn it around. We kind of struggled throughout the years, and I think he was one of the reasons in basketball they did that. And in baseball, there's no difference. He was going to be one of our best athletes. During our preseason and during our tryouts, we gathered data, on things just to make sure we aren't being subjective, we're being objective when we're grading out these kids. And for the second year in a row, he graded out as our number one athlete, number one ball player. So it's unfortunate we're not going to get to see him come back and play. Last year for us, he was one of our team leaders in average, team leaders in hits, team leaders in RBIs. He would have hit this year. Last year, he hit mostly in the number 5 slot. This year, it could have been number 2. We're going to kind of let that play out. In the meantime, in the field, he was going to be our shortstop, same place he played for us last year. There's a chance or two he could have played third base, depending on who's going to pitch. And he can do each of those things very easily. And then he was going to be probably arguably our number 1, number 2 pitcher. He gained a lot of strength through our strength and conditioning program at Windsor. That increased his velocity, so he was sitting at about 85, 86 this year and could touch 88, 89 during the offseason. So we were looking forward to seeing him on the mound. And then last year, while he didn't throw as hard, I think last year he really learned how to pitch. I mean, we had some other guys like his brother, another guy, Chase Beard, that went off, played in college. So he got those games where sometimes he was going to have to just pitch and grind through things, and he did that. So it would have been interesting this year to see how he is going to do. But no question about it, he's a great player, would have been for us. He had a couple of offers to play in college, Quincy and Mac, and I believe he's going to go to Mac so he can play with his brother.
Sounds like a good setup there for them and Mac for sure. Coach, your next senior athlete is Matt Martin.
Yeah, Matt, kind of the same boat as what Pierce was last year. He played third base for it. He did a good job in the basketball season this year. He sat out a year, came back, played again, gained some strength. Had a good summer in baseball in the off season last summer. And with his height and how he threw, we were really looking forward to seeing him. He pitched, again, much the same way Pierce did for us last year. He was a grinder. He might give up nine hits during 5-6 innings, but he was going to grind it out and still get the win. And so while his ERA wasn't as good as some others, we really looked forward to seeing what he was going to do on the mound. After, when he's not playing, he led our team in average. Well, one of 2 kids that led our team in average last year. And he batted in the number 6 slot, 5 or 6, depending on where Pierce was at. And so this year he would have been in the top half of our lineup, probably played third base, depending on who's pitching, maybe played first base, depending on who's pitching, and then, of course, been in the lineup somehow as DH if he wasn't pitching and or in the field.
Well, this next name is a name. It's one of those. Every school has these families where there's several athletes, sometimes generations that come through. A family name is associated with that school as far as athletes, and certainly the Gamerick name is one of them at Windsor. I've had 2 of the girls over at Jeffco for softball, and our associated live stream, Scott Lotta, obviously knows the Gamerick name, but let's talk a little bit about senior Kaylin Gamerick.
Yeah, sometimes when you say you play like a girl, people mean it as a negative, but for him, that's a positive because his sister's really good. No, Kaylin, last year he started a little bit with us for catcher. This year he would have been our full-time starting catcher. He'd have been in the lineup somewhere, probably second bottom half of the lineup. If you watch the kid in the cage, powerful. Totally powerful. Does the whole hitting coach, launch angle and all of the fancy stuff, and does it pretty well when he does make contact, because that's something he had to work on this past year. As a catcher, though, he's got a really strong arm. He played football for us this year too, and one of the things, in the 24 years or so I've been coaching, I always like my catchers to have that kind of football mentality. And the thing about Kaylin was that, in football, he was our best outside linebacker. And then when our quarterback got hurt, well, all of a sudden he became our quarterback. Well, what a perfect spot to have a catcher. Someone that's tough, someone that knows how to run an offense, in the case of football, someone in baseball that knows how to run a defense. And so it was going to be exciting watching him play this year.
Are there any other Gamericks coming up through the pipe, or is that it?
None that I know about, no.
Well, our next senior athlete from the Windsor Owls, baseball player, is Andy Amanovic. Tell us about Andy.
Yeah, Andy's a great kid in the classroom. Started every game for us last year in center field, would have been there again this year. Hits for average, got a little bit of power. Also, he's got a great glove. He's also fast, can steal bases for us. He's good in the classroom. He already signed to go to McKendree. So he was really looking forward to his year, not having any kind of pressure of having to sign or do anything like that because he already did. He would have hit leadoff for us or number 2 like he did last year. But Andy's really going to be missed. He's a funny guy, just an all-around good, all-American kind of kid. Can't say enough about him.
So he'll be joining Braden Harmon from Jefferson over at McKendree. So
yes.
Our next Windsor Owl senior is Cal Gatens. Tell us about Cal.
Well, Cal's a great teammate. I mean, he's been with us now for 4 years. He was mostly a pitcher only last year and was probably going to do that again for us this year. He does get some defensive replacement whenever we do double switches out in the outfield. We need somebody to come in to pitch. We'll switch him out there and then switch him back and do a double switch that way. But Cal was one of those guys. He was going to get a spot start, especially when we go down to Kentucky for our tournament. We go down there, or in the St. Charles tournament, St. Charles West tournament, he would have gotten a start. Otherwise, he was going to be that guy for long relief because he can pump strikes from the strike zone. Doesn't throw the hardest, but he does get a lot of ground balls. And so he's a guy that could get through the lineup. He can pitch as long as he can get through the lineup. Once it starts going after that, then we'd make a change. But he's a really good teammate, good guy to have on the field. He was developing into being a little bit of a leader as we started this year until we got cut short. But you need those types of guys like Cal that can take their role and do it well.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, tell us a little bit about Grant Siegel.
Well, Grant didn't get much playing time last year, but Grant, played on the basketball team too, was a full-time starter there. One of the more intelligent kids I've ever been around. I mean, I believe he got accepted to MIT. He never had less than an A, super smart, great kid to have around. Baseball-wise, part we're going to miss about him, defensively, he was extremely good. Where he lacked a little bit was at the plate. So he started pitching a little bit for us in the off season and during the beginning of this season. And we were really interested in getting him on the mound because we have a couple guys that can throw fairly hard. And Grant has that unique ability to spin the ball a little bit and the unique ability to throw slow and slower. And so a lot of times that goes well with a couple guys that can throw hard. And again, at least just to get through, 3 batters, 6 batters, whatever he can, before they start seeing what he's doing. And so, Grant, we could put him at second base. We could put him at third base. Defensively, not an issue, but we're going to miss having not been able to see him on the mound for us this year. But baseball is not one of Grant's worries. Grant's going to do something really good because he's a really smart individual.
MIT, wow, that's something else. Next up, Coach, we have Ian West.
Yeah, Ian. I forget who mentioned it earlier, but Ian's one of those kids that I feel for all the seniors. But last year, Ian didn't get much playing time at all. I think he had about 7 at-bats and maybe a handful of innings in the field. He's one of those kids that was playing for this year. And so when everything kind of shut down, I really felt for him because he was our leader in the offseason. He was our highest attendance in the offseason. He really worked with our strength and conditioning coach, truly enhanced his fitness, which was one of the things that was holding him back as a junior. And so this year he would have been at some spot, first base, mostly, but would have been a full-time starter, maybe even as a DH somewhere. And, and it would have been his first time basically playing all the time at the varsity level. And so he's never going to have that opportunity. which is kind of sad. I mean, because he's been with the whole program through the whole time. He's a good kid, and like I said, he was a leader in the off season. He does the right things. He makes good grades, so I know he's going to go to college and do very well because he's a top 10% kid, as is Pierce and as is a couple other seniors that I have. So it's unfortunate, but Ian was going to do really well for us and be a key, a full-time starter. So
I'm sensing a theme with a lot of these teams tonight. Very, very highly intelligent young people. That's bodes well for all of our futures. And, next, we have on the list, Coach, is Justin Stenger.
Yeah, Justin. Unfortunately, last year for us, Justin had an injury that he had to have surgery on just right before the season started. And so, coming in before he had this situation come up and had to have surgery, we probably would have anticipated him being a starter for us last year. But because of the situation, he sat out like the first 8 games. A couple other kids started doing well, so there's no reason to take them out. And so then it took him a while to get into the groove. And, he wound up about half at bats that he probably would have minus the injury. And so, he didn't get to play as much as what he would have liked to last year because of that. But this year, he would have been a full-time starter in our outfield. Probably would have hit number 4 for us somewhere in that area or deeper because he does have some power. He's fast. He's got a good arm. He is a good football player for the football team as well. I've had his brothers. He's been around forever. Seems like I've had a Stinger for the last 8 years. Roughly, I have. So he's going to be missed, and I think he'll go on to college and do real well.
Well, our final Windsor Owl that we have that we want to honor here tonight is Nick Hummel.
Yeah, Nick, the same type of thing I said with Ian. Really smart kid. Again, top 10% in his class. Great glove. If he could just get out of his own head sometimes, he could be a full-time go-get-him type player. But his glove is great. So he was a defensive replacement last year. We put him in the field for different things, and that's what he was going to wind up doing this year. He could have played second, third, or short. He did get some innings last year at short and second, and we didn't have a problem this year putting him at third either. So it's unfortunate. He was with us in the offseason too. He was our second highest person in attendance, and so it's unfortunate that he's not going to get his chance to play just like some of the other kids.
Coach, we certainly appreciate you coming on and paying tribute to these I believe it's 9 seniors that you had this year. I know this isn't easy to do, but you guys have done a wonderful job thus far. And Ray, Coach Bone's going to have he's got a tough acts to follow here for us.
He absolutely does. And I'm going to have Coach Bone jump on here real quick as I load up the Herculaneum Black Cats. Coach Bone, we're going to start with Chance Jenkins.
Ray, Chance is like Mr. Black Cat. If I was going to pick a kid who really embodies what you would want a student athlete to be, and I say that from the sense, Chance is a kid who is a 4-year football team member. He's a 4-year baseball team member. He tried wrestling for the first time since junior high this year with Coach Hunter. He's just the type of kid you want around all the time. And he's served a bunch of different roles for us over the years. He came in, as a JV catcher and a backup varsity catcher for his first couple of years. Spent a lot of time helping us out in the bullpen. Moved him to a first base, DH type role. Played some outfield even on occasion when we needed him. Guy who, was our courtesy runner at times. One of the best team guys I've ever been around in any capacity, and just a young man who teammates are really drawn to. High character kid. I think, he really represents everything that you would want your program to be about. So Chance is a guy who this year was going to get his first opportunity to play quite a bit and to step into an everyday role for us. And Heartbroken for him that was cut short and his opportunity to really get out there every day and show just how far he's come in the last 4 years was cut short. But what an incredible young man, tremendously hard worker. Like I said, it really represents everything Hurricane High School is about. If you went to to a volleyball game, to a girls or boys basketball game, to whatever it was, there's a good chance you would see Chance there. Just representing Black Cat athletics and really being very proud to do so. So really proud of the young man he's become, really proud of the player he's become, and very much ashamed that he won't get a chance to show everyone that this spring.
Absolutely. And this guy here needs no introduction. Jordan Duncan.
Well, Jordan certainly got a lot of fanfare, I guess, for lack of a better word coming to my mind right now. And deservedly so. Jordan's a 4-year starter for us. He's a three-time, I should say, first team all-conference selection. He's a kid who's played shortstop or been on the mound for us every single day that he's been in that uniform. And we knew, when Jordan, was getting into high school, his reputation preceded him just a little bit. We knew he was a really good baseball player. We knew, traditionally he had been one of the best players on his teams growing up. And everyone knows what type of basketball player he was. Those who got to see him play a little bit of football know what type of football player he was. And certainly a program changer in both those sports. But, obviously for us in baseball, just as much, if not more so. I think, before Jordan got into high school, we won in the 4 years, but before Jordan got to high school, we won 24 baseball games. In the 3 years that he was there, we won 35. And, that's really a testament to not only his ability and his performance over the years, but just also the way he goes about it, the way he holds people accountable. Not a super vocal kid, but definitely not afraid to tell someone when he doesn't like what they're doing. He shows up every single day. He sets the tone for what work looks like. He'll look you in the eye and tell you the truth. You never have to worry if he's doing the wrong thing. It has really been my pleasure to coach him for the last 3 years. It's something that, we knew, like I said, he was going to be a really good player for us. We knew he would change the complexion of the program, both on and off the field. And he's lived up to that billing every single day. You're talking about a kid who led the St. Louis metro area in strikeouts. And this is a kid who didn't pitch much growing up. And that's not some sort of testament to anyone's brilliance as a pitching coach. That's a testament to the fact he's a tremendous athlete with great makeup who really worked at it to be good. So the credit goes to him for that. You have a kid who struck out, 86 guys in 52 innings last year. Led the Metro in strikeouts, as a finalist for the Rising Star Award that the St. Louis Amateur Baseball Hall of Fame gives out every year. That was supposed to be held last week. So, a Jefferson College signee, he's a kid who I think the future is really bright. Like I said, it's been an absolute joy to be around him every day. Certainly hoping to get that opportunity again this summer. But I always say, and I say this to everybody, and I won't say it just because he's on Zoom here, but I say that Kevin Lucas was the best high school baseball player I've ever seen in person. I think Jordan is right up there. Maybe not quite the athlete that Coach Lucas was in his day, but he's really, really good. He's certainly in that conversation when you talk about the best players, that have played baseball in this county in the last 25, 30 years.
I keep hearing the same thing from a lot of other coaches the same way about Coach Lucas. So I wish I could go back in time and see him play because you can't hear enough about him. So we're going to move on to our next senior here. Our next senior is Greg Rose.
Greg is a kid whose high school career was cut short a couple times. Greg had an injury at school in shop class. I won't get into it too much, but 2 weeks before his freshman year starting, Greg is a kid who had a really good opportunity to be a 4-year starter for us. Had that never happened. Greg played some third base. He played some shortstop. He pitched quite a bit. He started and was the winning pitcher in last year's first district game against Arcadia Valley. I think Greg surprised himself in a lot of ways. I think he's always been a good player and a really good high school player, is what he ended up being for us. And I have no doubt he had a chance to be an all-conference type kid this year. But I think for Greg, the question was always, did he believe that he was as good as the coaching staff and a lot of his teammates thought he was? So, I think to see how he's grown and matured, to see where that belief comes from, overcoming that self-doubt, that's a big part of what high school sports is all about. To see how kids grow up, to see how they answer the bell in those situations. You put him out there, and it's a kid who played, in multiple district championship games. And you could kind of see the deer in the headlights look when he was a sophomore in some of those games, and just, some of the anxiety about being in that situation. And then last year, you go out to the mound in a game where he's the starting pitcher in a one and done playoff situation, and just to see the confidence and where that comes from. That's the maturation process, that I think as coaches, we get as much or more enjoyment out of as anything that happens on the field. So to see how Greg's grown up, to see the leader he developed into, to see the young man he's developed into, has really been special. And like I said, I hated that his high school career was cut short on both ends. But the 2 years, that he was with us, he made quite the impact.
Awesome. Absolutely. Appreciate that. Our final and last senior for the night we are going to honor here is Luke Teague.
Luke is a kid who only played baseball for 2 years of his entire life. And I really was last year in which he also ran track, and then, came out this year again. And Luke's a tremendous athlete, man. He really is. This is a kid who, is an integral part of Coach Hunter's football team at Herculaneum. He's a guy who, was a starting defensive end, starting tight end, played quarterback for them as well over the last 3 years, 4-year player. He's just a really athletic kid. He's a pole vaulter in track. He dual participated in track and baseball last year, so he kind of dipped his toe in the baseball water just a little bit last spring. And played really well for us. Obviously, it's everybody on this call knows, it's not the type of thing you just, pick up and start doing one day and expect to be really good at it. So there was definitely a learning curve, particularly offensively for Luke. But he's a big, strong kid with really good hand-eye coordination. And, I think last year his role was predominantly that of courtesy pinch runner, and also a guy who played the outfield. We would typically DH for him, or he would maybe be a defensive replacement. This year, I think that role is going to be more likely, guy who started in center field for us every single day. That spatial awareness, that ability to go get baseballs, to make those reads in center field. The leadership qualities are off the charts. He's a brilliant kid. He's going to the University of Missouri. Wants to major in pre-med. I have no doubt he'll have a ton of success there. He is a really high character young man. And when you talk about integrity, someone who does the right thing, someone who, again, will look you in the eye and tell you the truth. So you never have to worry about what he's doing off the field. We're really lucky as a coaching staff to have had these 4 kids. And I think in any situation, no matter, when this happened, what class of kids it happened to, this is going to be devastating for any coach and player, to have those kids lose that year of eligibility, lose their last chance to compete on that field. Not only their last chance to play high school baseball, but their last chance to represent their school in an athletic event and on as a member of the team. I think it would have been hard no matter what. But this group of kids in particular is really tough because all 4 of them are just great kids. And I know that sounds like something that's coach speak that we use, when we don't have much else to say. But I know that the reality is for these 4 kids, they're just awesome young men. They really are. They're good students. They're good people. You never have to worry about what they're doing off the field. You never have to worry about what kind of effort you're going to get for them when they show up every single day. Tremendous leadership qualities, dedicated, committed to what we're doing, respectful, respectable, articulate, just kids who you would really want your son to grow up to be like. And, it is heartbreaking. I think high school baseball is such a special opportunity to represent your community, to play with your friends. There's so many other options out there for athletics right now. And so many of them, for better or worse, are promising some things they can't deliver on. But high school baseball high school sports in general will always deliver on this. It's going to deliver on the opportunity to wear your community across your chest, to play with your friends, and to give everything you have with that group of people. So to me, it's irreplaceable. It's absolutely heartbreaking for this group of kids, and it would be for anyone. But like I said, we're really going to miss this group.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Coach Bone. I'm going to have everybody unmute their mic real quick. And I just want to say thanks so much, guys, for doing this with us. And we appreciate you guys jumping on and being able to just be a part of this, number one. But, number two, I know it's a disappointment for each one of you guys. And we feel for you guys, and we understand the what might have been. And but throughout all this, I mean, this to me, I feel like was a deserved time for these kids. And we want to continue to do that throughout for all of our spring sports. We've had parents and other coaches ask about other sports. We're open to it. It's just a matter of getting hold of those coaches. So just wanted to maybe throw that out there and say thanks again, guys, so much for being a part of tonight. And we're hoping that we're able to turn this around quickly. I know two of you guys we'll see in the fall here, Coach Lucas and Coach Coonley. And then, Coach Bone, we're hoping maybe some 253 baseball. We're going to hoping to keeping our fingers crossed for 253 baseball. But if all of you guys are out and about for 253, come by and say hey to us, and we'll have you all on for an inning or so, and kind of go from there, and maybe just catch up a little bit. Jeff, any final thoughts for you, my friend?
Well, I think Coach Bone did a very good job of wrapping everything up. And I just really appreciate our coaches coming on tonight, taking the time out of their lives and everything that they've got going on to help do what our main mission is, Ray, and theirs as well, to shine a light on these kids. I mean, that's what it's all about. For me personally, not having the opportunity to call some of these kids' names in these games that we should have played, it's kind of heartbreaking. But even so, I can't even imagine what our coaches and players and parents are going through. And I'm not going to pretend I do, other than the fact that I'm hoping this brings a little closure, puts an exclamation point on things for some of these kids to know that we love them and we care about them and we want them. And that's all I've got.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I had you open up your microphones real quick, and we're just going to give you, maybe just a final 5-10 seconds here to your teams, if you want to say, anything you want to say, and we'll start with Coach Coonley.
Hey guys, listen, I'm here for you. If you need anything, let me know. Thanks for the great 3 years you guys gave me. You always have a special place in there.
Coach Lucas. Oh, Coach Lucas is his microphone's off again. Uh-oh. But it doesn't look like his microphone's off real quick. There it is. You're in.
Better?
Yep, go ahead.
Hey, guys. I just want to thank you for everything you've done for the last few years. Just want to let you know how much I love you guys. Sorry things didn't work out, this year. But if there's anything you guys need, let me know. I'm here for you.
Appreciate that. Coach Young.
Yeah, I just, these guys probably know this. I just want to make sure that our seniors know, but 4 years ago when they were freshmen, our varsity the next 2 years had the worst 2 years in the last 30 years of Windsor baseball. And these guys were the ones that kind of brought us back out of it last year. And it was due to this group of seniors and the seniors last year. Last year we were 17-10, kind of brought Windsor baseball back. And so those guys need to make sure that they know they're a part of that. And then once an owl, always an owl. So if you need something, you guys just let me know.
Awesome. We appreciate that there. Coach Bone, wrap us up, sir.
Well said by everybody, man. I really appreciate you guys putting this together this evening and for having us on. I tell our guys, and I think, like these other guys said, that they know, but, we certainly want to thank them for what they've done for our program, the investment they've made. They know I love them, certainly hope they do, and very appreciative of what they've given our program.
Appreciate that, guys. And again, thanks so much, everybody, for being on and being a part of this. And we're going to wrap things up here. We want to say thanks so much for watching tonight. I wanted to let you know about our sponsor, our main sponsor for tonight, Bethesda Baptist, our General Baptist Church. The building where Bethesda Baptist Church meets is at 910 Craig Drive in Imperial, but the church is the people who continue to meet needs and minister during this time. Bethesda is honored to sponsor tonight's show. Give them a call at 314-803-3782. If you're interested in sponsoring, we are looking for some sponsors for some of our upcoming shows. So if you're a business and you're interested in sponsoring us, give us a call, 314-852-4398, or live stream stl@outlook.com. That's our email. And our final thing we want to let you know about is our Roku channel. If you're interested in getting our Roku channel, $5 a month, very, very cheap. You can watch this in high def. Just get a hold of us through videos.tkdssports.com. And we appreciate that. Our folks over at TKDS Sports. And Jeffrey, final thoughts, my friend.
I hope that this is the first night of several shows that we get to do here to honor our spring athletes. And I think that's where I want to leave it tonight there, Ray.
Yeah, I think it went really, really well. And, we're going to keep continually doing these things and hope that bring a little bit of light and just a little bit of happiness to, a tough senior year for some of the seniors. But we'll have another reload here for next week, and we'll have that for you here at Main Street Sports. For all of us here at Livestream STL, we're going to say so long. Have a great evening.